Hello everyone, it's Golden Pettit here, and I was thinking about doing part 2 of my fourth episode of the second season of Microsoft Sam reading Windows errors. However, however, about maybe 3 days ago when I was sleeping, I just got myself 3 straight episodes of sleep paralysis, which is really scary to have firsthand. And after I woke up, I noticed that my hearing pitch is slightly messed up again, and it's well, I had to sleep as much as possible to get that hearing pitch down. And and the next day it did go down, but it's still a little messed up. But then I just found out yesterday when I was trying to check on my hearing by putting my headset on either side of my ears. I noticed that my right ear is about a couple cents higher than my left, and it's oh no, I think I got myself Diplacusis. Well, before anyone asks, what do you mean by Diplacusis anyway? Well, Diplacusis is a pretty frustrating hearing disorder where one ear becomes all detuned and distorted while the other remains unaffected. And it is really frustrating to have, especially if you're into music or sound design like I am. And as such, I can't even start on my next MSM episode comfortably whenever I have Diplacusis that's affecting my right ear. However, that's not the only time I had However, it's not the first time that I had to deal with hearing pitch problems because back towards the end of January, I was having a really bad cold to the point I thought it might be COVID, and by the 23rd of January, this is when my hearing problems began to really drain me, and it was so unbearable for 2 weeks. However, it has subsided. And I'm all better from that cold I have. However, my hearing pitch problem has resurfaced on me again. This time in the form of Diplacusis, which causes my right ear to be a little high pitched compared to my left ear, which is not cool. I'm also having this thing where most every one of you had in your life once, and at least once, and this is something called tinnitus, which is basically the constant ringing in the ears. Now, usually when I have ear infections, or whenever I have ear infections and such, I usually get pretty mild tinnitus. But however, there are some times when tinnitus becomes a bit intense. So I had to constantly clean my ears I had to constantly clean my ears to check and see if there isn't too much if there isn't too much earwax in any of my ears. I do get some earwax out, but sometimes there might be much more earwax deeper in my ears, which my cotton swabs can't get through because it would be really painful already. So now since I also have since I have Diplacusis, I have to constantly check on my ears by putting my headphones against either one of my ears to make sure if there's any less of a distance between two of my ears. And after I have diagnosed myself with that, it has persisted for days without it even going away. In fact, it hasn't changed much. I was hoping that Diplacusis is going to be temporary, like it would go away for a few hours. However, it has been a day already after I found out, and my Diplacusis still hasn't gone. And my Diplacusis still hasn't gone away. Which makes me worry that my Diplacusis was going to be permanent. And I initially thought that my sleep paralysis episodes have done something permanent to my ears. Which puts my production of MSM videos at jeopardy. That COVID thing I got has delayed my MSM production for about 2 weeks. And now I'm afraid my production is going to be delayed again now with Diplacusis, which is not fun. Anyway, what I was going to plan for part 2 is that Sam continues off from where he last left off, where he goes on a killing spree on all those serious Sam monsters, which includes beheaded kamikazes, Nars, clear skeletons, biomechanoids, and the like. However, after some time he rescues Sicily, but not before he has to deal with one of those witch brides, which thankfully killed one of them. In which fire would come in and pick Sam and Sicily up to skedaddle out of Speakonia City to catch up with the others who may have already reached a rendezvous point at this point. That was my plan I had for part 2. I hope you all understand about this Diplacusis problem I have been having recently, and hopefully I would try to get part 2 out. Hopefully I would try to get part 2 out as soon as I could. And maybe I'll see you all whenever my Diplacusis starts to get better. And if my Diplacusis doesn't start to get better, if my Diplacusis doesn't get any better by the next day, then I would probably have to seek for. I need to. I would have to seek for an ear, nose, and throat specialist to tell them what's going on with my Diplacusis. To tell them what's going on with my Diplacusis. Sorry if I have been stammering a lot because this is an unscripted video, and I tend to make long pauses and stammer whenever I try to find anything that I would like to say about certain things that's been going on with my life. Anyway, I hope you all had a wonderful day, and until my Diplacusis gets better, I'll see you all in the next video. Cheerio.